glad to be here. I've been here all along. I'm a professor emeritus. I had an office up until 3 years ago, and I do come in occasionally if it's interesting enough. And I don't like to get into a controversy over names particularly, but I will. I started out in chemistry, and my highest degree is in chemistry, a master's degree from the University of Kansas. I was at NRL and made an adiabatic change into physics. So I'm planted in both fields. As far as the name is concerned, the most important thing was to reflect the fact that we were going to be doing fundamental research and not technical research. It's a materials laboratories, often will involve steel, rubber, wood, etc. And I wanted to emphasize that we would not be just that kind of materials laboratories. When I was at the Naval Research Laboratory, I initiated a series of colloquia called Structure of Matter Colloquia. That's where the name really came from, regardless of what Bob was. And there are two Bobs against one Eli, but that's the fact. And so I will say a number of things that have to do with reminiscences. All the other things will be covered by many people. I have a mic here. You want me to use both? Okay. During the war, Vannevar Bush played a key role with OSRD, and it was his tradition that led to the formation of ONR, which included the Naval Research Laboratory as the research laboratory of the Office of Naval Research. And I was there for 13 years. In 1958, Herb Callan played a major role in recruiting me to Penn. And so in 1958, John Hofstadter, Lawrence Klein, and myself were appointed professors in metallurgy, economics, and physics, respectively. Those are very interesting names. And Jonathan Rhodes invited us all to a luncheon. We had 25 full professors had come to Penn. And he went around the room and described everybody in great detail. It was amazing. He had a great memory. Now, when I came to Penn, we had been in conversation with Roy Apter. Some of you may know that name. He was at GE, and GE had a direct line to Washington, and once every couple of weeks he would call me. When he learned I was coming to Penn, he said, "We'll see how good a job you do with training graduate students." And that was one of my goals throughout my stay at Penn as a member of the academic faculty. Now, Herb recruited me, and I, in turn, played a role in recruiting Bob Schriefer, Don Langenberg, Alan Heger, among others, and also had arranged to invite people like Stig Lundquist, Manuel Cardona, Joe Berman, John Quinn, as visiting professors in the physics department. So it's true, having become a physicist, I'm really a physicist as well. But the connection to chemistry has always been very important. Now, DARPA put out a proposal, a request for proposals, which went to Penn, and I must say that Bob Madden was alerted immediately and started to push for a reply to the proposal in which metallurgy would play the central role. But I learned from Charlie Yost, who I knew at the Department of Energy in Washington that DARPA really wanted an interdisciplinary laboratory involving chemistry, metallurgy, materials science, and physics. And so that's how it evolved. And NSF took over the program of the IDL MRL units in 1972. So my memory isn't as good as it used to be, so I'm referring to my notes here. And I must say I do remember very well that wonderful evening when we got together and had a great party. It included our wives, by the way. It wasn't just, that was another French benefit. While here and playing a role in LRSM, I initiated a series of lectures with the purpose of bringing together the several communities that were involved. It was called the Frontiers in Material Science Lectures. It was started in 1984 with David Chandler, who was then in chemistry, and my involvement with it ended when Mustafa El-Sayed of Georgia Tech came to give a lecture. And they were rather important, and as you can imagine, some of them were well attended, and this room was crowded when the particular speaker was well known and had done great work. I retired formally in 1987 and was appointed Professor Emeritus. I always wondered what it meant. It always had the word merit in Emeritus, and I assumed that you get an appointment as Emeritus if you did important research and continued. Actually, I found that all you have to do is show up. In my case, I continued, of course. And my most recent involvement is as a founding editor of a series of volumes. I'm giving an advertisement for it, called Contemporary Concepts in Condensed Matter Science. Now, the term condensed matter science was to include solid-state physics, solid-state chemistry, material science, and even biological material science. Now, names are rather interesting. At one point, NSF combined the directorates of solid-state physics, solid-state chemistry, and materials into one directory called materials science. And the term material science no longer implied technical materials, but implied fundamental research. And the term material science took hold, and Bob Madden, very sensibly, and his department, changed the name of the department from metallurgy to material science and engineering. I thought that was a great change. And I have some photographs here. I was told I could press a button. That's what I wanted. This is a group of my graduate students, and some of you will recognize. And some of you are here. Bill Solonek, I know, is here. Katsuro Ushioda was not in the picture, but he's here. Mark Busby is there somewhere. Can you recognize him? I want to say, finally, a word about the fact that there was a 25th anniversary celebration organized during the time that David White was director of the LRSM. He had, before that, been chairman of the chemistry department. And I worked somewhat with David in putting together a program. I'm not sure whether I can go back. There it is. This is a write-up in the almanac about the 25th anniversary. What was interesting is that there were 4 visitors. Don Langenberg came back, Fred Zeitz, Ed David from Exxon, and Roland Schmidt, who was at GE, but also the chair of the National Science Board. And the thing that was unusual was that each of these speakers at the celebration received honorary degrees, and there was a complication. That was really doing it up right at the time. But what the present 50th anniversary has is the tremendous success that LRSM has continued to have to this day. I should make one more comment about the Doppler when they set up the MRLs. And that Cornell was the top university. Northwestern was the one that managed to squeak through, and Penn was right in the middle. Anyway, I'm not sure I'll be around for the next anniversary. Oh, really, no, I won't. And I'm glad to be here, and thank you very much for listening.